Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Gaurav. I'm good. Great.
Great, great. Thank you for taking out the time for our episode of Joy of Performing podcast. I will let you introduce you to yourself to the audience and we can start from there.
Thanks, Gaurav, and thanks for inviting me to this Joy of Performance job platform and this podcast. Yes, I'm Sandeep Ray. I'm founder of Skill to Will. We are a sales training consulting organization where we primarily target to solve certain problems of the FMCG companies, starting from their GTM to their sales team capability and their new product launches. Help them in many ways. And this company is now around 8 years old. Before that, I have got around 14 years of experience. So total I've got around 24, 25 years of experience in sales and consulting. Our YouTube channel, which is Skill to Will, that is the widely viewed YouTube channel in among the FMCG fraternity. And my book, FMCG Sales Toolkit, is also number one in the category of FMCG books on Amazon. So this is about myself. Yes, Gaurav, over to you.
Lovely. You're deep into the FMCG world. Just curious, what made you get into this world and what is so exciting about the space that you actually started a company, for this space. So just wanted to get to know about that.
Yeah, so basically it came quite naturally because the starting of the career was into my career was into FMCG sales. So that is how I got first introduced to this particular domain. And then when I started off as a trainer and a consultant, then I started consulting and training those companies only where I'm comfortable, and then I started to get, because when you work in an organization you get the understanding of that organization and a little more perspective about your competitors. But when you're dealing with multiple organizations, different categories, starting from a food to a personal care to a home care, small, big, medium, startup, they have got various challenges and different kinds of perspective. So I found that very, very interesting, that why don't I now expand into a wider scope wherein I can, try to solve more problems which the small starters and the medium scale organizations are also facing. So initially I started with the large FMCG organizations, but now I'm dealing with medium and small enterprises as well. So I think, the problem solving opportunity actually attracted, was very attractive to me.
So before we get into our topic, which is actually quite hard hitting, and it's called "What is killing FMCG businesses?" I want to understand in the last 8 years that you've been doing this consulting or training services in the sales mostly. Have you seen the landscape being changed, and what was maybe killing or deterring the growth of FMCG companies 8 years back? Is it the same problem or the problem has changed?
The problem has little bit shifted. Though 8 years is my company, Skill to Will, but I am interacting with FMCG organizations into their training and consulting space for the last 14 years now. And I would say that in the last 14 years, what I have seen, that there is a remarkable shift in the approach. But at the same time, there are certain opportunities also opened up. So companies who are able to understand those opportunities, I would say they will not come into that kill bracket. Who are able to understand the opportunities, take advantage of it and move forward. People who are not ready to adapt, not ready to move, and they are quite, sort of fixated into certain ways of working. There the problem lies, where the kill is mostly happening. I think that is the shift that is I'm seeing. Two types of organizations have emerged: fast, quick, adaptive, and another is slow and very rigid in certain cases.
So I want to double down on this, right? This is important, and I'm sure the FMCG audience which is listening to this would like to know. Give me maybe three type of opportunities where organization have adapted and really been able to scale or grow, and maybe an example where they have not been adaptive and has killed the business or slowed down the business. I mean, you don't need to name the businesses, but maybe certain use cases that would be helpful.
Yeah, see, I would say, many companies have taken this approach of winning in many India, which is an approach which was taken by HUL when Mr. Sanjeev Mehta was there. So, winning in many India is an approach which actually tries to cater or customize their GTM, their value proposition, their SKUs, their entire approach to a micro market level. Because many India means India is not a homogeneous kind of a landscape, or the demographic or the kind of preferences. There are many Indias which are within one India. So we have to address that. So companies who are able to understand that, are able to customize their offering, are able to move quickly in changing their approach basis the market conditions, basis the market requirement, are doing quite well. And the companies who are very rigid in their approach in terms of uh, what they want to do from their end only, that is what they want to offer to the market. Whether the market takes it or doesn't take it, they are not ready to move or change or adapt. That is where the problem lies. Many smaller organizations in that sense are getting this advantage where they are able to, if you see during COVID also, a lot of the smaller organizations were able to do better than the bigger organizations because of the supply chain efficiency, because of the understanding of the market. Many categories are doing well, who are able to understand the local taste and preferences and quickly adapt to that. So I think this is what we need to address in this space.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just today I was reading an article in the Economic Times, which is about barista. And, how barista, since they started, I think it was year 2000, they've been able to grow and compete with some of the big MNCs, like the Starbucks of the world, and many more have come in. But barista, a homegrown company, has still expanded. I think they have about 165 odd stores, and going into 500. And one of the things that the CEO said, which actually stuck onto me while I was reading that, is you need to be very very clear of what your strategy is, and you need to listen to your customer and then change the strategy as per what the customer demands are. Like, for an example, they now have sugarless drinks, which the Gen Z and the health, today the whole momentum of health is catching up. Like boba teas, which is also not, I mean, not a coffee shop would not serve those at that point of time, but they started about 18 months back. So, I mean, I'm kind of connecting the dots that that is where one needs to be flexible and need to understand where the market is going and need to take that steps into their business. Now, tell me, with that, do you think technology makes any impact, for you to get that pulse of what is really happening in different geographies with different, whether SKUs or different strategies that you're applying? How does technology help, and what is the technology landscape or tech stack that usually companies have today?
See, yes, technology has got a huge role to play because whenever we get into those micro market strategies, data is very, very important. When probably at a macro level, at an organization level, when you're looking at things, it looks quite different. But when we get into the micro level, the state level, or probably a district level also, that time the data is what is very, very important. So getting the data, that is number one. Now everything is integrated, you see, and there are different platforms. There is a Salesforce automation, there is a DMS which is sitting at the distributor point, there is a CRM, and there are so many other kind of technology interventions that are coming in. So what is happening is that this data stack is very huge with organizations who are able to deploy all this kind of technology. But the problem is understanding the integrated part of how to take action, because different data will throw up different kind of perspective. Then understanding it and putting it into the right person for the micro market is very, very important. Now I'll give an example. Probably you have got a huge market share for a particular brand in the entire nation. You might be number one. But when you talk about a certain region, because recently we have come across two, three such examples where the number one brand in India is not even the number four brand in that particular region, or a number five or a number six in that region.
Very
So,
interesting.
yeah, it's a number one brand in India, but not
Right.
a number two or number three or even number four.
Right.
So, it is very different ball game when it comes to that particular region. That is the reason why winning in many India is very, very important, and data will help them in doing.
So, what I hear, and I totally agree with that. I think sometimes the macro can be can be great, but getting into the micro of it and really understanding what are the sentiments or pulse from the micro you get is actually the the winning strategy. And Sandeep, we at Job or Joy of Performing, we do that. And I'm a big believer in this, that data is everything, yes, but getting insight from that data and then having an impact from that insight is also crucially important, which I feel that a lot of organization today lack, right? And that is exactly what we do. So let me get into let's double down on this. So data, how are organization getting impact and insight from that data? Is that something where you think the the gap area is, or do you think that also is solved to some extent?
See, first of all, we have to think from a GTM perspective.
Hmm.
Now, we are at a point where there is a lot of change happening because of technology. There is an online space, there's an offline space, and there is a lot of channel conflict within the organization in the market. So, when we are talking about data, we have to think from different perspectives as to what kind of category, what kind of GTM the company is applying. Probably, I would say a D2C organization or a company which is heavily dependent online. Data is more readily available to them, which they can probably use, and they can, analyze also better. But a company like a staple company, which might not be there, on the online space, that dominant in the online space, because overall see still, e-com and all this, online sales is around 5%, 7%.
Got it.
It is still very small, so the maximum of the sale comes from the other channels like the GT channel, which is around 80% of the FMCG sales. So getting data from there, integrating the data is a challenge. And for those companies who are heavily dependent on their GTM for this general trade, there the data is a problem. Companies who are more inclined towards online sales, probably, a lot of these problems are solved because of the algorithm or the reports that those kind of platform throws up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think makes sense. And one needs to focus on the market where the problem still exists, right? So you're absolutely right. Okay, so other than this challenge, what do you think? How are you envisioning that companies can do for their say? I mean, it's all sales driven, right? And majority of the people are frontline sales people who are actually making the impact and bringing in the revenue for FMCG. So, what are the maybe three things that you can suggest that companies can do to enable them better, to make them sell better, to control that attrition, retention, because attrition is a huge problem at the front line as well. So, what things do you do for that?
See, the basic is the company's approach. What is the company's approach? Is it short term? I would not say company's approach, because company will always have a long term approach. But I would say the management or the leadership within the second level or the third level leadership. What are they thinking? That is very very important. Now, see, to get the front line, manage the front line, attrition of the front line, all these things that depends on the managers that they're reporting to. What I always tell, that these days the quality of the front line has actually improved. If I see overall, it has actually improved, but the quality of the managers have not improved. So I think that the quality of the manager is what I by managers I mean the first line supervisor or the second line supervisor. That is where the problem lies. And if you say attrition at a lower level, the attrition at these levels are also very high compared to other industries. Because what happens is that if your manager is short term and he thinks that I am in this organization only for 2 years, 3 years, why should I even invest my time in grooming and developing a frontline? I would only talk about numbers. If number comes, you are there. If number doesn't come, you are out. In that case, nothing capability building does not happen. So I think sensitizing the manager level is a very important activity, which I think is a big gap area within all organizations, FMCG organizations too.
Now, interesting. We in our language, the joy of performing, we talk about lag indicators and lead indicators. And lag indicators are targets or numbers which everybody wants to achieve. They're running after that. But I think a lot of managers, at least the first time managers or the lower level managers, they don't give importance to the lead indicators, which is going to get to that lag indicator, right? Which is building the capability, having those skill set, solving the challenges that they have at real time. How are you managing their incentives real time so that people are not demotivated that they're getting incentives or compensation after 6 months? And these are real time problems. So very well. So do you also have trainings or skill set that you run for these managers, or it is only for the sales execs that you do?
Yes, of course. It is across all levels. So at Skill to Will, we provide training to frontline, to the immediate supervisors, which is usually the SO level or the ASM level, and then the senior level like the RSMs, the state heads. So we have got training programs for everyone. But the most, the highest gap area, what I would say, is currently the middle level managers where they lack data analysis skills, they lack the coaching skills, they lack in developing that plan for their own market. If you see, they are very transactional in nature. What is the target of the day? What is that you're achieving? How much sales is that? Is what where the communication ends. But there is no plan, there is no backup plan, there is no strategy. So that is where it is very, very important. So at Skill to Will, we try to develop, we try to focus more on the managers who can then take this to the front line. As of in the front line also, we do pan India training programs for organizations where 20, 30, 40 batches happen across India for different kinds of frontline sales team. So that is always happening, and that will keep on happening because frontline is where the execution happens, and we invest a lot of time in that space. But manager is who is the person who is going to actually ensure that whatever we are training the frontline on gets implemented. So whenever we do this training for the frontline, we always tell the organization we should do a separate training for managers on how to implement the learnings of this training program.
Understood. Understood. And what do you see about the landscape? Do you see the ones which have already won the race and they're like, the first, second, or third in any category in the FMCG? Do you think that they are going to keep on ruling that space, or a new incumbent or a new competitor can come in, emerge, and take a large share in the market? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is already happening in front of us where small company coming and taking on the big competitors. Even HUL is now facing a lot of competition from the startup. I would not say startup now, they were startups like like a Mammoth or then this Wow. Then there are so many other D2C brands who have actually come into this space of personal care and giving. Even L'Oreal, they are also facing a lot of competition. So it is not that and the audience is also has also become very open to experimentation. So they will pick up new brands, they will try, they will see. uh, so I think overall the environment has become very level playing for everyone. People are also the Gen Z is now contributing to around 40% to the overall sales. So it is massive now. So what we need to understand is that when we are trying as a bigger organization, we are trying to dominate. We should also keep in mind that we have to adapt also. We cannot dominate with the strategy which we had 5 years back, 10 years back. We have to adapt. We have to understand, and smaller number of smaller players will eventually grow. It will not become less. And I think the market is also growing. So it is not that within the same market, the pie is also growing. There is enough for everyone. How you implement your strategy is where the game lies.
So let's say I'm an emerging brand today, right? In again, let's pick the example of personal hygiene. What are the 3 or 5 things that I need to be careful about so that I'm not wiped out of the market, and in the next five, let's say 5 years or so, I have a good market share? How should I go about it? What is it that I can do in order to build my brand, in order to build my business?
See, I think the first thing that as an emerging brand you have to keep in mind is that do I have a niche? This is the problem which I think, we do provide consulting to so many medium and small enterprises, and this problem is especially there with small enterprises where people come up with a product which is the kind of either a me too product which they probably have easy access to, they can make quickly and go to the market. So that kind of product they come up with, which is not the right approach. The first thing is that you should have a niche. If you don't have a niche, then you go to the market and then the price war starts. First of all, the retailer or any person, for the instance your consumer also, will not give you a chance. Why should they give when there are other established brands in the market? So first is the niche. Then once you have the niche in place, you should have good process, because these days if you see most of the products, there is very little difference between products. Even if you think that you have launched a very very unique product today, within a month or a week you will see a competitor coming and launching the same product in the market. So the difference in the product today has become thinner, thinner, thinner. What is different in the market today are people and process. So I think the companies, emerging companies especially, should invest more in these two parameters. I would say not more, equally in these two parameters, where people and process are given due weightage. That is where you can ensure scalability, longevity, and also your aspiration towards building a brand, because a brand is not built only by selling. There are so many aspects. If you want to sell, then you can sell in the wholesale market. You can just sell. You can be a brand, but you can think like a trader and you can sell. But if you want to build a brand, you have to take the hard way, investing in your people, process, and all the cultural development within the organization.
No, no, awesome. I think if we kind of term this framework, you're talking about find a niche, get a great product in that niche, which can differentiate yourself from the market, invest in your process and get the right people and invest in your people to succeed. Absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of young entrepreneurs who are watching this, right? So this will be great. So we are almost at the end of our podcast today, Sandeep. Any parting thoughts that you have or you would want to talk about that we may have missed today?
I think, winning in the FMCG space today requires patience. One thing I will just, end with a story which keeps on happening with me, I would say quite often. People call up and say that, sir, I've got a great product idea. I'm launching this great product. Why didn't you come and join us? And, we will build a brand in the next 5 years and sell it for 100 crores and we'll share them. So I get direct calls like this. So I just tell that person that, before the baby is born, you're thinking of abandoning that baby. That baby might not come to you at all. So investing in your uh, time, patience on the long term aspects of the product, it is not only about getting funding. See, funding will come if your basics and your fundamentals are right. If your objective is to get funding, then the problem starts, then all
Right.
kinds of wrong practices starts. So
Right.
my message to all young entrepreneurs and people who are thinking of getting into this space is, think long term, be disciplined, invest in the process and people, definitely, because FMCG is a people game. It is a people game still. It is 80% GT sales, and you have to think that it is a people game who are going to actually go and do the execution for you there in the market. So invest in your process, people, and you will get the results.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you, Sandeep. This was great. So, if the audience wants to reach out to you, Sandeep, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can visit our website skill2will.com. So, SKILL skill, TO2, WILL will, skill2will.com. They can visit our website and all the details are.
Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Gaurav, for inviting, and it was great interacting with you.